There are powers on Earth too hidden to be seen, and conspiracies too vast to comprehend. For years, the world has seen fact distorted, reality manipulated, and the truth concealed. Join the Pierre Sabak podcast to uncover the real meanings behind ancient aliens and their symbolism.
Hi, this is Pierre Sabak, unlocking the keys to the mysteries. Now today we're going to be looking at angels, and so I'm going to do a short series of programs on angels, and I want to look at the basic definition of what an angel actually is. So for example, if we look in biblical exegesis, Malach, an angel, is traditionally interpreted as a messenger. Now the word angel, it comes from the Arabic verbal root laka, which is to send on a mission. Now this is a cognate of licht, which is to follow within the Semitic languages. Now, as we can see, the word malach, an angel, it's translated into the Greek as angelos, which is an angel. Now, angelos itself is an interesting word because this is a modification on the classical verb angelo, which is to deliver a message. Okay, so in other words, the angels can be interpreted or seen to be messengers. They are emissaries between humans, mankind, and heaven. Now, as we can see, hidden behind this rhetoric and concealed within the classified tradition, as I said in my previous lectures, the classified tradition is the classical tradition, and the classical tradition refers to classis, which is a naval fleet. So in this respect, this is the naval or the angelic tradition. And as we can see, within this tradition, the angel denotes a messenger. And additionally, I think which is what's also very interesting is that this messenger or emissary is not just derived from heaven, but is seen implicitly as being a crew member of a naval vessel. And as I've argued before, this is a redacted tradition. So in other words, this idea that the angel and a vessel are combined together, although this appears within the Apocrypha and biblical traditions, we see that this has been edited. Now, traditionally, the messengers are deemed to be a separate species from mankind, so they are seen as originating from heaven. And as I've argued before, the angels and the word alien are interchangeable. So for example, as I've mentioned before, the word zar, which is the stem for an angel in the Aramaic, can also mean an alien. It can also mean a visitor. It's a polymorphic word. Okay, so this is working on polymorphic symbolism. Now, evidence gleaned from the Bible suggests that the angels in general are split between the human species, which are the cherubim. Now, I make a distinction here because I actually the research and the evidence suggests that the cherubim are a proto-human species, so they are distinct from the Adamic man. And again, there appears to be a distinction within the Judaic traditions between the cherubim, which are a proto-human species of angels, and the Ishim, which are a human species of angels, which can be seen to be an Adamic species of angels. Now, by the word Adamic, I'm referring here to Homo sapiens. So the Ishim, or the Adamic angels, would be very similar to a Homo sapien, but is distinct from the cherubim, which are proto-human angels. So now we've cleared up that distinction between different categories of human angels. We can see that they themselves are contrasted with a non-human type of angel, which are referred to as the Seraphim. Now the word seraph comes from the etymology for a viper or a serpent, so they are seen as being non-human in appearance. In other words, traditionally they are viewed as being alien. Now, what's very interesting about the seraphim is that the word seraphim is a derivative from serapha, which is fire, but we also see that they are very closely tied to the jinn. This is because the jinn traditionally are said to be born of fire. As I've mentioned before, fire is a signifier of Sirius, in the Greek Sirius-Aster, which is the flaming star of Sirius. It's the scorching or blazing star of Sirius. Hence we see that there is this relationship with the seraphim, otherwise known as the watchers, because there's this word wordplay between Seraph and Sopheth, which is a watcher, Seraphim, which is fire, which is also translated into the earlier Aramaic as Erin, the watchers, which is a polymorphic word for a shining one. So the Seraphim are the watchers, are the shining ones, which are rendered in the Greek as drakon, which is to watch or to flash. But very interesting and very significantly, the Seraphim are often grouped with the high spirits, the Ru'akh Elohim, the high spirits. Now the high spirits are a type of jinn, but interestingly the high spirits are manifested as a high creature, Helache, which is a high creature. So there is this juxtaposition between the high spirits and their manifestation as physical entities. In other words, they have this ability to be able to disassociate from the mechanics of reality. I have described this set of species as a holographic culture because they can intersect between the physical and non-physical realm, and this is very important because this actually relates to the waveform. Now, going back to the angelic messengers, we can see that in a traditional sense the angelic messengers are understood to be envoys from celestial vessels, and therefore we can see literally that they are conceptualized as sailors, and they are referred to as sailors as well, as is suggested by the polymorphic symbolism of the word malach, an angel, which is a wordplay or a synonym of malach, which is a sailor within the Semitic languages. Okay, so the angels themselves are viewed as celestial emissaries, but in addition they are viewed as sailors from vessels or ships. Now, combined together, the encodings of the Seraphim and the Cherubim, which, as I mentioned before, are non-human angels and proto-human angels, they disclose this juxtaposition or contrast, which I refer to as the parallel society. Now, the parallel society can be viewed in terms of human and non-human angels which are working together, but we can also see that the parallel society itself is reflected in the mirror image of the earth, and therefore we see this also reflected within the institutions. So for example, we see that we have the ship of state, the temples are traditionally configured towards boat symbolism, and again we find this within etymologies such as the word worship, the word ship here being a representation of an angelic vessel correlated with an angelic messenger. Now, these legal structures, we can see that it was certainly within the biblical and the apocrypha tradition was said to be seeded by angels. So we see that there's a relationship between Malach, an angel, and Melech, a king. In English, this would be rendered as kingship. The word kingship in this respect is referring to one who is born of a boat. In the Semitic traditions, this would be the Ben Sira. Now, the word Sira, a boat in the Hebrew, is diptych paranomasia, or it's a wordplay on the Arabic word Sira, which is Sirius. So the descendants of a boat are correlated or are identified with Sirius. Sirius is related to the flaming ones, the watchers, which were non-human angels, which were said to have seeded the earth. This in the Quranic tradition is referred to as the second creation. Now, within the Greek traditions, this is known as panspermia. So we find that throughout the ancient world, there was this idea that mankind was planted on the earth. Now, we can see then that the angelic lineage itself is deemed as being strange or alien or different, and this is an idea which is obviously played out within a modern occult symbolism of the UFO or the flying saucer, that these beings are alien beings and that they're strange or unusual. But we need to emphasize here that this is a very ancient idea. This is not a new idea. So traditionally then, the angels are deemed as being strange or unusual. Now, this lineage again is seen to be identified with heaven and is equated with a royal or a noble bloodline. Now, the word or etymology noble is referred to or links into the idea of nobilis, which is to be highborn. It links in also to the Indo-European etymologies of know, the ones who know, or those who are highborn. They represent their lineage with a shield. Now, the shield is used in the ancient tradition to represent an angelic vessel, because the shield, oplon, a shield in the Greek, would cover a vessel, which would be pleon, a boat or a ship or a vessel. Now, the word pleon and oplon are related to oplite, which is the host. So this would be the angelic host, which in the Hebrew and Judaic traditions would be represented as the Ophanim wheels, the chariots, the spinning wheels. In the modern parlance, this would be a flying saucer. So as we can see that the naval the noble tradition as this close cognate then with the naval tradition. Now, within morphology, the B and the V are interchangeable. So noble and naval are interchangeable. So the naval offspring is an angelic offspring. This originates from a classical source, classis, a naval fleet, and this is a tradition which is classified. This has been classified throughout the ages. It is identified with gubernatio, to control a ship, or governments, which are the ships of state. The ship of state is mirrored with an angelic vessel which is moored to heaven. So the symbolism is highly indicative of the parallel society, and the emissaries, or the messengers, which communicate with mankind and which are understood to be a descendant of a boat. And that, in a sense, is really important to understand, because in order to understand the angels and the emissaries, we have to understand the symbolism. And the symbolism of the angel is Malach, an angel, related to Malach, a sailor. So these are angelic sailors equated with vessels. Okay, if you like this video, please subscribe. Let's try and make this world a better place. Thank you for listening, and please give me a thumbs up. This is Pierre Sabak, and please read my book Holographic Culture. Thank you very much.